Hi everyone, my name is Phil and welcome to PhilDoes3D. I'm a multimedia and 3D artist and I stream on Twitch weekdays from 5 PM Pacific time in the US, 12 PM in Australia and 1 AM in the UK. Alright, let's pull up 3D Studio Max and load up the garden terrace that we finished doing the modelling on and texturing on a few weeks ago, just before I went on leave. I hope you guys had a good Christmas and New Year. You may notice that I've actually switched back to using 3D Studio Max 2016 instead of 2017. That's just because Max 2017 has way too many bugs in it at the moment. Autodesk really need to fix their Nitrous 11 viewport. It keeps crashing if you have a Pascal NVIDIA card, for most people anyway, particularly if you're using Windows 10 with the anniversary update. So until they fix that, I've gone back to 2016. I've not generally had any problems using 2016, so we'll see how we go. And of course with version 2016 I can use DirectX 11 in the viewport instead of DirectX 9 that I had to use in Max 2017. So it's just a better version of DirectX to use for 3D, and that goes for games as well. Still a bit slow to load up files, however. So yes, anyway, I hope you guys had a good Christmas and New Year. I was away for a couple of weeks. I had to fly interstate to visit my brother and sister and their family over the Christmas New Year period, but I'm back now to my regular schedule of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, US time at 5 PM Pacific time. I think last time we were working on the model, we were looking at the Ivy plugin to grow Ivy on parts of the model. I'm going to continue looking at that again today, I think, to see if we can't get that working. Come on, Max. As always, guys, remember if you have any questions or anything I'm doing that you're not sure about, feel free to pop into chat. I'll answer any questions if I can. If you just want to pop in and say hello, then that's fine. Or if you just want to watch, then that's completely cool as well. Even with this older version of Max, loading is taking a long time. I think it has something to do with the security patches that Autodesk released and that Microsoft implemented in the latest Windows 10 update. It seems to take files a lot longer to load up than they used to. But we can wait. For anyone watching that's not sure what I'm going to be working on, I'm continuing work on a garden terrace that I've been creating over the last 6 or 8 weeks. It's a garden terrace that has 2 angel statues at the front holding lamps and 2 larger angel statues on top that are pointing up to a ironwork dome here. Let me just jump into full screen view here. Go back a little bit. So yeah, this is the garden terrace we've been working on. We have our 2 angels at the front here holding lamps. There are matching lamps up here on these large pedestals. We have second angel statues here that are pointing up to this wrought iron dome. And what I want to try and look at today is growing ivy on parts of this model just to soften it up a little bit. I just feel it looks a little bit hard. So growing some plant life on it will just help to soften it up a bit. So that's just for the benefit of anyone that might be new watching and not sure what I'm working on or what I have been working on. We will be taking this model into Eon View to do beauty renders for it. We'll create a 3D environment for it with plant life and vegetation. And we'll bring the model in and we'll do a beauty render in that. And then I'll probably place this model for sale on my Creative Market web store and Cornucopia 3D store and Cinetech Media store as well, of course. All the models that I create always go on Cinetech Media and generally Creative Market and Cornucopia. So, yeah, so we have our angel statues here that are holding the lamps. We have our angel statues here that are pointing to the dome. Now I want to look at growing some ivy, and we're going to be growing some flowering ivy using these flowers here. But I'm probably going to change the colour of the flowers themselves to more of a red instead of this purple colour. So let's start. Now I want to grow ivy on this banister here to begin with. So I think what I'll do is I'll grow ivy on the banister here and on that part of that angel statue. I'll grow ivy on part of this wall here and part of this statue over here, and that's just to balance it up a bit. What I'm going to do is select the parts of the model here that I want to grow, where I want to grow the ivy at first, and I do this just so that the ivy plugin doesn't have so much geometry to deal with as it's growing the ivy itself. So I'll choose these statues even though I don't want the ivy growing on this just yet. I'm only concentrating on this front part of the wall here. But just in case it spreads out a bit, I'm also going to select these parts of the steps as well. So let's have a look here. We've got the stairs at the front, the banister here. I'm also going to select this column and banister here, column section here, and this one here as well. Even though I really only want the ivy to be growing around here. I have the wall. I might just select that column there in the corner as well. I'm not going to select any of the banister pieces here because I don't want the ivy growing up that high anyway. It's really only around this section here I'm concentrating on at this moment. So we have our stairs selected, our floor, the steps down here, the wall, the columns, the statue just in case, and that one column at the front. So I'm going to go into my tools menu and I'm going to isolate the selection. Alright. And now I'm going to load up my Grow Ivy plugin, and if you're not sure where I got it from, if you can look at my past broadcasts from the 21st, because that's when I talk about where I actually downloaded the plugin from. It's a free plugin available on the web for Mac. The guy that developed it was very nice to release it for free for anyone to use. So if you want to grow Ivy on your models in Max, it's a great plugin to use. I'm going to select, actually just before I select my Grow Ivy, I'm going to go back into my standard primitives, and I'm going to drop down a plane. I'm just going to jump into my top viewport here for this. And I'm doing that just in case the ivy spreads out toward the front here. This plane won't be in the final model, it's really only for the benefit of growing the ivy itself. So I'm going to move that down to the bottom of the model here. And I'm going to pull it forward. I'm really only worrying about this section of the wall here, and just in case the ivy spills over the front, it's got somewhere to spread out to, which simulates the ground. We'll delete it once we've grown our ivy. So now let's jump into our Grow Ivy plugin in Guru Way. Select that and pop it there. Now I want to move it as close to the wall as I can, so I'm going to pull it over here. Decide where on the wall I actually want it to sit. Again, I'm going to jump into my top viewport. It just makes moving the stuff around a little bit easier. I think maybe just off center. We don't want it right in the middle because that'll look too fake. If we pull it just off center, it'll look more natural. Again, I'm going to pull it fairly close into the wall here so that the ivy has something to grow on when it starts to grow. And pull it down. Way down, it's way too high. And I want to set it just above the floor plane. If it doesn't grow properly, we can always zero out the growth and start again, so it's not a big deal. So we're just above the floor, we're close into the wall that we want to grow the ivy on, and we're off center so it looks a bit more natural. Okay. Now we'll jump into our modify panel here. And let's look at our settings. Looks like I've forgotten something, so what I'm going to do is just select all of these, and I'm going to end isolation mode because I also need to select these flowers, so I'm just going to hold the control key and select those as well and go back into isolation mode. Okay. So again, we've selected our grow ivy. Let's have a look at our flowers here now. And have a look at our settings. So we want to open up leaf meshes, and for the first one here I'm going to select the bud. For the second one I'm going to select the fully open bud, and the third one the half open bud. Right. Now under texture we want to decide how many materials we're going to use for the actual flowering ivy itself. So we need at least 3 because we have 3 meshes here. The closed bud, the open bud and the half open bud. And then we also have the leaves and the bark. So we need at least 3 for the flowers, 1 for the bark and at least 1 for the leaves, but I'm going to make the leaves probably 2. So we want 6 materials. Alright. And leaf 1 to leaf 6. Now, these are the percentages of each of these that we want to use when we grow the ivy itself. So, instead of 100% on leaf 1, which according to our leaf meshes here would just be the flower bud. We don't want just an ivy that's completely budded. So, let's say that we want maybe 10% buds. We want maybe 20% open flower and maybe 10% half open, which is this one here on the end. So let's use 20, 30, 40. And then we'll go for the other 3 leaf. One of them will be probably a branch, so but we'll go 20, 20, and that leaves 20 for the leaf 6 material. We'll work with that to begin with, and we can always change it. Remember though, you've got a few different sections here to work with, so main branch, old branch and young branch. Just to make life a bit easier, I'm just going to copy our settings that we're using on all of them. So 10, 20, 10, 20 and 20. That's just so a young branch, you might say, oh, I want more buds on a young branch than an older branch, or a main branch and an older branch, but I'm not going to worry about that at this stage. We're just going to stick with the same settings for all of them, and then we can adjust them later on if we don't like what the way it looks. Okay, so our main branch, our old branch, and our young branch, we have the buds at 10%, the fully open flowers at 20%, the partially open flowers at 10%, and then we're using 20% for the rest of the leaves. Alright, let's jump back up to the top here. I'm actually going to just change my settings as well, because I'm using OBS and streaming on Twitch while I'm doing this. I don't want I'm just looking for a setting in here which shows where I can select how many threads I'm going to be using. Yeah, I don't want to use all of the threads on my machines. I want to keep some of the power back to stream to you guys, so I'm going to bring that down to 6 threads. We'll make it 4 threads. That'll just slow the growing process down slightly. Let's grow the ivy and see what we get here. I'm going to pause it. I'm just waiting for the plugin now to calculate those meshes and leaves and such. Alright. It's showing upgrade because I haven't set up materials yet, so we'll do that in just a minute. Before I do that, I want to have a look at what it's actually done. Alright, now I feel that size-wise, let me have a look here. I'm just trying to gauge the size of the flowers to begin with. I think it might be a little bit big. There are way too many flowers, I think. Nope. Yeah, there's too many flowers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the age back to 0. We're going to adjust our settings a little bit. So instead of 10, let's go 5, and instead of 20, let's go 10, and then we'll jump back to 5. And then we'll go 25 and 25. We're just going to copy those settings to the other 3 sections as well. Young branch at 5, 10, 25 and 25. Okay. Now this plugin, even though it's free and it's great, I use it a lot, can occasionally crash Max, so just be aware of that. So make sure you save your work regularly, because Max will just all of a sudden crash out. It won't even auto save the file for you. It'll just crash Max. It doesn't happen a lot, but occasionally it will happen. Let's grow the ivy again. Pause it there. Okay, as far as the number of flowers goes, that's a lot better. Not as many as was before. Before I decide whether the flowers are actually too big, I'm going to actually open up my material editor here. I want to select one of my flowers. Move it down a bit, and let's have a look at what we've got going on here. That's the branch. That's the alpha map, and that's the leaf map there. Let's do this. Let's move over to where our flowers are. Just going to move these maps up here to the side a bit. And select my bud. You would put them right in the middle, wouldn't you? Move those there. I'm just moving these out of the way here. These are just unused maps that for some reason the plugin has decided to create. So just let me get myself organized so that we have an easier time of working out what's going on with our texture maps. Okay, let's see here. That's our bud texture map, that's our flower texture map, that's our stem. It's a multi-material. This is stamen here. I'm just going to delete these because we're not actually using them. Now let's see here. Oh, there we go. Now we have our flowers that have popped up. It was just a question of loading the materials into the material editor so Max would see what the textures were that were actually assigned to them, and then they'd pop up in the viewport. So you didn't have to reassign any textures, you just had to load up those texture maps that the meshes that you're using are using. So. Let's jump full screen on this so I can get a better look at it. Alright. Now I don't like the way it's spreading out here over the plane of the floor. I really want to make the ivy growing only more on the wall section here. So the way to fix that is, just before we do that, I'm just going to double check again the size of these flowers in relation to the rest of the model. You know, I don't think they're too bad. Again though, I'm going to move those away. I'm going to just organize my texture map here a little bit better. Okay, that's the stamen there. That's one of the leaf textures here. This will be the bark, the branches rather. And these are the actual flowers themselves, so I'm going to move them down here above the stamen. And this one is the bud. The closed bud, so I'm going to move that one down as well. So before I do that, I'm going to pull these down. This one here. That's a multi-material, that's why it's attached to two of these at the same time. So the actual bud texture here. This is the stem of the flower itself. I'm just doing this so I can get myself nice and organized and I won't get confused as to what's going on. Alright, they're the actual leaf meshes here, and that's the branches. So alright, and you'll notice that it's using the same leaf mesh on all these different texture slots, and that's fine, but I actually would prefer to use two different texture maps here, so I'm going to throw in a standard material and a bitmap. I'm going to jump into my garden terrace directory here. We'll leaf 1 to begin with. There's a diffuse map. And then leaf 1 as an opacity map. I'm going to show shaded and show realistic. That's just so when we assign it in the viewport we can see what's going on and what it's going to look like. So that's one leaf texture. Let's create another one with a standard material and a bitmap. And we'll go leaf 2. I won't use the third leaf, I'll just stick to 2 leaves, different leaf maps I think. Again into the diffuse channel. And again we're going to load up leaf 2 opacity. And plug that into the opacity channel. So shaded and so realistic. Alright. Let's just pull in a bit here. Now, let's start plugging these in a bit. So I'm just going to move them in a little bit closer to where I'm going to actually be using them. We'll pull that up a bit as well. Let's plug that into the top channel there. And I think what we'll do is we'll alternate them, so we'll do that one on the next one. And then we'll do that one on that one. And we'll just keep alternating them all the way down. I want to actually completely replace the texture map that is on there at the moment. And you can see the new texture map here. It's that darker green leaf that's showing up. Again, I'm just going to pull this down a bit here. So we did that one. We're going to do this one here. because the plugin does come with these standard Ivy Leaf textures, and if you like them you can use them, and I have used them in the past, but I preferred a leaf texture that was a little bit more unique and a little bit more different, so I created 2 new ones. You just have to make sure when you create the texture that the join is here facing up instead of facing the other way around. So where the actual stem would be attaching to the vine, it would be at the top here, not at the bottom like a lot of like you'd use a lot of times when you're creating vegetation. It's sort of flipped around here. Just something to be aware of if you're making your own leaf textures, to make sure that the stem join is facing at the top here, not the bottom. Okay, let's do that one and that one, and the last one. Actually, that's it, because the next one here is going down to our buds here, so we don't want to change that. So we've replaced that old leaf texture here with our new ones. Pull them over here, pull that over here, and pull that up here. So just to recap, this is our vines themselves, the stems, the bark if you want to call it that. These are our leaf textures that we've pumped into the material slots at the top. This one here is our bud. This one here is our stems of our flowers and buds, which is just a green texture map. And then we have our flowers themselves and stamen, which are in the inside of the actual flowers. So yeah, so just in there you can see our yellow stamen. That's what that texture there is for. And that's just so if you get a real close-up render, you've got some detail inside of these flowers. So we've swapped out our leaf textures here to something just a little bit more interesting, a little bit more realistic. I actually think the flower size might probably be okay, but like I said, I don't like the way it's spreading out here over the ground. Just before I change that though, I'm going to do a quick save, because like I said, you always want to make sure you save with this plugin, because it has a habit of crashing max. We don't want to do that. I'm just going to save this as version 20 or revision 20. That's just a habit I get into every time I do something new in the model. A major change, then I up the revision number and save it, and that way I've got all of my files from 1 to 20. When I'm happy with the final version of the model, then I will save out a final version, and then I can delete the 1 to 20 versions to clear up some space on my hard drive. So we'll just wait for Max to save that out. Now let's see. So we have our Ivy selected here. Thanks for the host, Galen. I appreciate it. Hope you're well. Like I was saying though, I don't like the way it's spread out here on the ground. I don't want to be saving, when I go to save out this texture, or this object rather, the ivy, I don't want, because this ground plane is going to be deleted, I don't want to have it floating in the air like that. So hope you had a good Christmas, Galen. A good New Year. So I'm going to zero back out the age here to take it back to the beginning. And in order to stop ivy from growing on an object, but to still cause the ivy to recognize the object, select the plane. We want to go into object properties, and we want to freeze the object. it'll turn it grey. Freezing the object just tells the plugin that when you hit this object here, recognize that it's there, but don't grow on it. Stop growing when you stop growing any leaves or vines once you hit this plane. So let's select our Ivy plugin again. And we'll hit grow. Now you see it stopped growing on that plane, but it still recognises that it's there. Just going to stop it there and wait for it to do its magic. Now I'm taking a paste from the project over the holidays. Reveal anything when you got back to it. This is the first time I've got back to it, Galen. I literally flew back in yesterday, and this is the first time I've opened Max up and looked at the project again. So it's always good to take a break though and come back with a fresh set of eyes. And we managed to fix the problem we were having with the ivy here growing. As I was explaining, I've jumped back into Max 2016 because Max 2017 is just way too buggy at the moment. I don't know what Autodesk were thinking when they released that software in the state it's in. It's terrible. The DirectX 11 Nitrous viewport in Max 2017, particularly if you're using a Pascal NVIDIA vid card and you're running Windows 10 Anniversary Update, is just a mess. And then Autodesk seem to be taking their time fixing it. You're taking a break from the Nostromo? Cool. It's always good to take a break. Sometimes when you work on something for a long time, it can get a bit boring, so taking a break and coming back to it's always a good option. Because then you can come back with fresh eyes and you know, rejuvenated to work on it again. So what are you working on at the moment, Kayla? What project are you doing now? Are you doing anything or just taking a break completely? You said you're working on another project, so yeah. What is it? Now I'm just trying to judge sizes here, and I think the leaf size is okay, but I really think the flowers are way too big. So not way too big, but a little bit big. Here is the latest working project render on an engine for a pod car race. Okay, let me have a look. You don't mind if I have it on stream, do you? Generally you don't, but I'll double check before I actually pop it up here. So you just let me know if it's okay for me to show it to everyone on stream. Yeah, I didn't think you mind. I just always like to double check though, because I don't want to do it one day and then have the person scream at me saying, I didn't want you to put that on the screen. Oh, this is the pod racer from Star Wars, yeah? The one that the young boy races with, I'm assuming, when he races through that desert section. Very nice. Lots of nice detail going on here. Cool. Alright, that's a good plan. So if you don't want something public, guys, and you want me to look at it, whisper it to me, as Galen said he would. If you're happy for me to show any of your work, or you want my opinion on anything, then I'll post it on stream and we can have a look at it. Yeah, it's Star Wars inside, I thought so. Yeah, it reminds me of that pod racer the young kid was using when he entered that race running through the desert. Very nice. Like I said, lots of nice detail going on through here. It's missing the cowling. Okay, yep, right, cool. So you can see the piping, yep. Nice. Are you going to use physically based materials for this? Because this sort of thing lends itself really well to using PBR materials. You know, say substance created materials. Because you could use bitmaps, and bitmaps in spots here wouldn't be bad, but generally, yeah, PBR materials would look really cool on this. Be a lot quicker to do as well. Because textured up, it'll look really cool. Very nice. Yeah, like I said, I like the detail you've got going on here. I like that you've smoothed the edges, which is always good. People that watch me know I like smooth edges on everything. You'll probably use something realistic, yeah. Yeah, like I said, physically based materials like from Substance Designer would look really cool. Or Substance Painter, I think that does PBR as well. Yeah, and you know, you could chip the edges using one of the particle systems in Substance Painter. That would look really cool. Very nice. How long has it taken you to get to this stage? Like how many hours of work is this? I'm just curious because I've watched you work and you tend to get stuff done pretty quickly when you're knocking out the shape like this. But it's looking really good, really nice. Like I said, I like the detail. I like your smoothing your edges. And for anyone that doesn't know, Galen uses Blender to do his modelling in. Unless he's changed. And no, it does, it looks great. Nice work. 50 hours into it? Yep, I can see that. And that's still pretty good for 50 hours work. You're a demon when it comes to 3D modelling, dude. And like I said, any good model will take time. You shouldn't want to rush anything like that. You know, take your time, do it properly. When you're working for a studio, sometimes they can be a bit of a pain and they want you to get stuff done as quickly as possible. And that's different. But if you're working on your own stuff, hey, you know, take your time. Enjoy what you do as you do it. Because you don't always get a chance to do that when you're working for other people. And it's important. You know, it's important to enjoy what you do. I'm actually going to select my ivy here. We're rendering out the same shot with the cows in play. Oh cool, okay, let me know when the render's ready and I'll have to check it out as well. I'm just going to select my ivy again if I can here. Come on. I'm going to zero it back out again. I just want to reduce the size of those flowers slightly, so I'm just going to select them and scale them down just by eye a little bit. And again, we're going to select their ivy here and we'll grow it again. Let me just get into position here. Okay, stop it. I think that's better. Those flowers were looking way too big for the leaves, but just reducing them slightly has made it look a lot more natural. We were going to say those purple trumpets are beautiful, but it seemed a bit out of... Yeah, they were too big. But the beauty of using the plug-in here is it's easy to zero out the growth, change the size and regrow it. You can actually change the size of these things in the plug-in itself if you really wanted to. You can scale different parts of the mesh, but I find it's always often easier to, instead of doing it through all of these different parameters that you have in the plug-in, to actually just go straight back to the flowers that you're using and scale them back.